Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum, built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
She does have a great line when she's leaving him.
Yeah.
He says something to her about, I shouldn't have painted you
walking
away.
From
and she said, no, you shouldn't have painted me so small. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one. There's a lot of stuff like that, especially when I watched it a second time with Ruby. I really enjoyed those moments so much more because the pace of the film is quite fast. And I think the first time I kind of missed a lot of those juicy dialogue bits.
This is Flixwatcher podcast, and this is episode 56.
And on this episode, we are joined by Sara Mae.
Hi.
And Ruby.
Hi.
From the Sugar Baby Confessionals podcast.
Yes, it's a Fable Gazers production.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about Their Finest.
Come find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Visit the website flixwatcher.tv for full listings, and don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us an awesome review.
So all films were available on Netflix at the time of recording, guys. Just as a bit of a warning, there is some bad language and there will be spoilers. You have been warned.
Hello, welcome to Flixwatcher Pod. Today our guests are Sara Mae and Ruby. Ladies, if you would like to say hello to our lovely listeners and tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
I'm Sara Mae, and I have created a podcast called the Sugar Baby Confessionals. That was Ruby. She is a very dear friend of mine who decided to become a sugar baby. This is despite the fact of being otherwise pretty conventional mum of 3. And I was pretty shocked by this. I did not know that all these details about her life. And so Sugar Baby Confessionals charts her journey into this really extreme lifestyle choice over 3 years.
So
2 years, 3 years.
I guess we need to explain to people what a sugar baby is. And also, how did you find out that she was a sugar baby if you didn't know?
It was a
Was it
shock.
just something you just dropped in conversation?
Pretty much,
yeah, I've been sugar
yeah.
babying quite a lot. And sorry, what?
Well, but when Sara Mae and I started talking about it, it was before I started. And I told her that I had the thought that I was going to try it. And she was like, what? You're crazy. And I'm like, no, man, it's going to be so much fun. I think it'll be so cool.
And I was worried about her.
She's the worrier of our little duo here. I'm the one who's just like, woo, throw it all to the wind.
I thought to myself, what way can I sort of force her to talk to me every week? And then if something happens, I can kind of, talk her out of it or... But
you could try.
Well,
you could try to talk me out of it.
I'm the vanilla person in our relationship. She's the fiery one who I have to live vicariously through.
At least you got some outlets. Yeah.
So she asked me if I would do this podcast with her on the journey. And I thought, yeah, sure, fuck it.
So what is a sugar baby?
Try. A sugar baby is a person who accepts either money or gifts or, kind of a certain kind of lifestyle for spending quality time with someone. And yes, of course, that very often means a sexual relationship, but not always. Mm-hmm. But it's very much turning an intimate relationship into something that is a commodity.
Okay.
And for some crazy reason, like for years, I just had this fantasy of being kind of a high-paid call girl type thing. So I thought trying out the sugar baby thing would give me a taste of it without going full throttle into hardcore prostitution. I'm not that interested in standing on a street corner and going up to cars. Not that there's anything wrong with that if anyone's listening and that's what you like to do. No judgment from me, but that wasn't really my idea. So anyway, Sara said, let's record it. And I said, okay, sure.
But it's very interesting because it didn't go the way I thought it would. Like much in life, I sort of expected it to go down a certain route and certain things to happen. And, we'd all learn a nice lesson at the
About
end.
life, love, and friendship.
And it'd be all
Although we
like, kind of
did,
wrapped
didn't
up
we?
in a neat little bow at the end.
Exactly. And
That's that era of your life finished. You can go back to being a mum now.
well,
Is that what you
yeah,
thought?
something like that. I think that's my hazy expectation. And it just went off into such interesting, poignant, sad, happy, extreme different things that I feel like I'm just lucky because I've just got this amazing material to work with, and I kind of just cobble it together with some nice music underneath it, give me the emotional.
Emotional heft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting now to listen to your podcast because obviously,
When you say your podcast, this is not our podcast.
no, it's
Okay.
not our podcast. I'm the subject of this particular season, and that's really amazing. But Sara is definitely the person who has the vision and has the talent to take these random anecdotes about my crazy ass life and sew them together in such a way that it's just beautiful. It's really poignant.
Yeah.
I think people hear the title Sugar Baby Confessionals and they think it's going to be something that's, I don't know, too licentious to be wholesome. And that's really not the case at all. So anybody who's listening, definitely give it a try.
Cool.
Obviously, I'm biased because I'm the subject of it. But Sara, you've just done such a great job. So kudos to you.
Oh, thanks.
And that kind of leads us, not really, into Their Finest.
Well, it actually does. I was thinking as you were saying that the music, that was one of our particular bugbears. I loved the movie, by the way, but I thought the music was pretty heavy-handed with the old emotional, this is how you should be feeling. Let me play some sad music kind of thing. There were nice moments, but I thought that was one of the things. I'm obsessed with music. I am a musician as well. So I love scores in films, and I'm really interested to see why they use a certain piece of music at certain points in the film and how effective it is to kind of heighten whatever it is they're trying to bring out. But
Yeah, no, I really agree with you. I thought this film was beautifully acted and most of the script was very well written for me, but the music was they were like banging me over the head going,
really?
Feel this way now. And I just, the lack of subtlety, it was such a disappointment because the actors are fantastic.
yeah.
Well, let's take it a step back. So can you give us a short explanation of what happens in the plot, Sara Mae, as you chose Their Finest? And also, why did you choose it?
Well, I was looking for it on your show, actually. I wanted to listen to what you guys had to say about
But
it. I
no
know
one
that
had done
sounds-
it.
No one had
Like-
picked it. I've
Sounds-
never even heard of it. That's how
What?
little I knew about
And then
this.
you're like, damn it, I need to be on the show to
Yeah.
represent.
It's like one of those films that has the creme de la creme of British acting in it. Bill Nighy, Gemma Arterton, who's amazing, and all those Eddie Marsden. Is it
Marzan.
Marzan? Yeah. I mean, that guy's agent is amazing because he's in every movie ever made. I think he's playing me right now, actually. He's doing it more convincingly than I would do it.
That's true.
But okay, so essentially,
Sam Claflin.
it's Sam Claflin is a very able hero. It's weird seeing him so clean cut, and so scruffy. He's
Oh, okay.
normally a clean cut.
Do you think he's scruffy in this?
Well,
He's the
I
one
think
who
he's-
played Buckley,
Yeah,
right?
They're trying to make him like a rumpled, writery type grump bag, and he's actually, I think he's one of those guys who's more naturally a sort of clean cuts, square chinned hero.
I don't think he was not clean cut. I wouldn't use
I mean,
interesting take on it.
it was.
I mean, he did wear a
Phineas-
suit in every scene. I mean, how
it's
not
clean
clean cut
shaven.
could you be if you?
He had maybe a scrappy mustache.
That was the
he
style.
played Phineas O'Dare, wasn't it, from in the Hunger Games?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know
sort
if I
of
got the
golden
name
boy.
right.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, something like that.
So what happens?
Yeah,
what
what
happened?
happens?
What did
Sorry,
we
I
watch?
keep not answering you keep asking a question. I keep not answering it. It's set in the Second World War, and it's in this sort of screenwriters bit of the British government, and they're trying to come up with the propaganda type film. Is that right? Please correct me if I get this totally wrong, because it was a while ago that I watched it now. And they're looking for a girl to write the slop, as they call it. They refer to, that's the lady bits, the lady talk bits. And
Yeah, they want
I can see
a
how that
feminine
lady bits.
perspective.
I
Yeah.
can see how that could be misunderstood in the context of not Ruby's lady bits.
Not mine. Not mine in particular. No.
Gemma's lady bits. So Gemma Arterton turns up and she is expecting a secretarial role, but it turns out it's for this a script writing role. So she meets Tom Buckley, who's played by Sam Claflin, and together they try and craft a film that is, they keep describing it as it needs to be wholesome and uplifting.
And hopeful.
And hopeful.
Yeah.
Because they think the war is dragging on. People really need to have that kind of boost. And they pick out this story about it's very similar to Dunkirk's story. They pick out a story about the two girls who took their father's boat and went to Dunkirk to try and save people. Of course, she investigates and finds out that that's not the case. They actually, their engine failed, but they end up doing the film.
Yeah, they never get to Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The real people.
The real people.
The real people.
Yeah.
So they rejig it, and that's part of the interesting, one of the interesting strands of the story is talking about like telling the truth of something
Through fiction.
through fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truth more as a feeling.
And sometimes fiction can be more true than real life in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were exploring with their screenwriting in that film.
Yeah. So there is a love interest that develops between Gemma and her immediate
Co-writer.
co-writer, boss type guy. She has this husband who...
We can't see that because it's a podcast, but Sara Mae
Yep.
just did the air quotes with husband.
I was trying to really put it into my voice.
I heard it in your voice. I heard it.
And he's this sort of feckless arter type of guy who's always creating these hideous paintings and that she has to pretend to like.
They are really hideous.
Well, they're bleak. They're very bleak.
They're awful.
Yeah, during the time of the Blitz and stuff like that, you want to try and...
I mean, isn't he Welsh? He's come from the valleys.
Yes. They're both
Life is bleak.
It's Welsh people, we
Wales.
don't hate you.
Oh,
You went to university in Wales, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I didn't know that.
What,
Welsh
university in
people-
Wales? Yeah.
So, they've come up from Wales. So she's a Welsh lass. And she's got this husband. And she needs to get a job because he obviously isn't earning enough money. That's the job she gets. So there's this tension between her and Buckley. They've got a romantic thing going on, but they can't explore it because obviously she's having this relationship. They end up filming the movie in Cornwall, I think it was.
Yeah, somewhere
Or
on the
Devon.
coast.
Was it
Yeah.
Devon?
Devon.
At the same place.
Oh, good call.
Slaying into all the nations.
Yeah, we are, yeah. Sorry, guys.
And there's lots of gorgeous, really lovely bits about the making of a film in those days, and the extras and the camera people all join in. And Bill Nighy is wonderful as this kind of very the thespian sort of character.
You do have to love
And there's a
Bill
dog
Nye.
in it as well, isn't there?
Is a dog.
There's a couple of dogs.
Rest assured, there is.
Yeah.
There's a dog.
There's-
All wartime
There's
films have dogs in them.
more hopeful than a dog.
Yeah. That's a big
Wearing
theme
a
in the
little
That's a
jacket,
big
ideally.
theme throughout the film, actually, that dog thing that you picked up on. Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to wrap this up neatly. She's coming into her own. She's becoming a brilliant writer, and she's getting her wings. And despite the fact that Buckley is quite crusty, they get on well. They work well together. She then has to go. Am I going on too long?
No,
I mean,
I don't know what you have
Chris-
against Buckley.
I was just thinking the
I mean,
same
he
thing.
hasn't got
He's
dreads and
grumpy,
he's-
he's frumpy,
doesn't have
and
a-
he's crusty. I mean, good. I think he actually looks pretty good
Not
in
as
the
clean.
film.
Not as clean
well,
as Sam
I mean,
Claflin
If he were a
is.
sugar daddy, I'd be like, okay, come on.
It's inclined that he's a drinker. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
He spent
kind of
his
it,
time in the pub,
really.
really, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's grumpy. He's short
I mean-
with her, is what I meant. He's good looking.
That's because he fancies her.
I think she's
I
right.
like that. No, I like all that stuff, man. That's the juiciness. Anyway, so they're filming in Devon. She's enjoying the process. She's very good at handling Bill Nighy's character in particular. Then she has to go back for her boyfriend's art exhibition.
Her husband.
Fake husband.
Because at this point in the film, she's been telling everyone
They're married.
they're married.
That she's Mrs. Cole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mrs. Cole.
But then she blurts out to her friend that in fact he's not her husband. She's been pretending all this time, and she goes off to find out that he's been cheating on her. another one of those clunker moments for us. And but she has a very great line at that point. But anyway, we'll get into that. And what happens there?
Well, she comes back and
they make the film.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some unfortunate furniture instance.
Yeah, well, it's, I guess, so what were your thoughts, Helen? Because we know that Ruby and Sara Mae love this.
Well, I didn't say I loved it.
Oh, do you not?
No,
oh, okay.
I did not say I loved
Let's hear
it.
your
Don't
opinion
love
then
it.
first. You don't love it.
No, I wouldn't say I loved it. I thought that it was good. I don't think it was great. I think that the acting was really good. I think a lot of the writing was good. But like Sarah dropped in there a moment ago, there were a couple of really off notes for me.
Right.
And that's a bad pun because the first one I'm going to point out is the music. Like we said a moment ago, the music was just so heavy-handed. It really ruined the film for me in some ways. Yeah.
I just didn't notice it at all.
I can't remember it, which really doesn't say that much about it.
Yeah, no, it was just bad. It was really bad. It was one of those made-for-TV, after-school special. I don't know if you guys had after-school specials here. It was like, Mother May I Sleep with Danger with Tori Spelling kind of music. It was just like
where would this be?
America?
Okay. Just
yeah. Any Americans who happen to be listening to this podcast are going to be going, fuck yeah, I remember those after-school specials. They were awful and awesome at the same time. So they totally are. And this music was unfortunately just awful because, it too heavy-handed. But anyway, I would say that it was a good movie. I wouldn't say it was a great movie.
I thought the script was so fantastic, though. There was some really great exchanges between her and particularly Buckley. A lot of singers. It had a very old world sort of feel to it, which I love. All the dialogue movies where the dialogue is the main thing, which is why those clunkers were sort of more apparent, I think. But I mean, it didn't impair my enjoyment of the film because I was really happy to have Gemma Arterton being amazing. She's quite good with these sort of feminist themes that the film brings up, and I think she's got her own production company that develops female-led projects.
I can tell you, it was Gemma Arterton was the lead of Made in Dagenham.
Yes,
was that Gemma Arterton?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I will confirm in a second.
Either her or Sally.
You were going to say Sally Hawkins?
Yeah.
I don't think it wasn't Sally Hawkins.
Okay. Anyway,
but, yeah.
I know that Gemma Arterton has. She's very big on promoting female-led projects. I think, unless I'm mistaken. So it was nice to see her being able to play a role where they're really looking at these issues. And interestingly, we had different takes on this because I thought that the ending, in which she kisses Buckley finally after they've overcome all the obstacles, and immediately he's killed by something dropping on his head. They might as well have dropped a piano or an anvil like in the cartoon.
Oh yeah,
that moment was pretty lazy.
It was awful.
It was the dumbest. And considering that they've just I felt that the script was so deft and so sharp, and then. I mean, I just picked it. It was so ironic because the whole movie's about writing scripts and telling stories and how to, be delicate and subtle. Well, actually, not so subtle with the war movies because they did play on people's emotions quite a lot. And Bill Nighy in particular has a lot of fun, milking his hammy actor character. But yeah, when he gets killed 2 seconds after they kiss, I was like,
yeah. And then also when she takes the train back from Devon to go to her quote husband's art exhibit, and she walks into their apartment. First of all, the music told me before she walked in that it was going to be dun dun dun, something awful happening, and then of course she finds him fucking somebody else, and just really, guys, come on. We've already found out through watching the previous, hour and a half of the movie that he's a total shitbag. So the fact that she doesn't want to be with him and she'd prefer to be with her coworker Buckley makes total sense. You as the audience member are rooting for Buckley and what's her first name? Katrina, something like that? Mrs. Cole. Yeah. You're rooting for them to get together. And, just the fact that they had to have the naked woman on top, riding him on top of him. It's come on. Any kind of sophisticated audience member watching this is just rolling their eyes going, it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, because they could have just literally gone back. She could have said, look, you're a bit of a dick.
Exactly.
Go and enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Because we're not meant to be together. We're not married anyway. So let's.
That would be
I feel like that would have been truer to a feminist principle in the sense that she doesn't need to have, some catastrophic moment of infidelity to figure out where her heart actually lies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is wartime. You've got to have like a major excuse for leaving your fake husband.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. In this film, there's quite a good few strong female characters. Gemma Arterton. I don't know who the role of the lesbian character is.
Yes. Oh, she's so fantastic.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know what role she plays really in the film.
She seems to be the intermediary between the script team and Richard E. Grant's character, who I guess is the head of the Department of Wartime.
Kind of like government propaganda.
I think her name is Rachel.
And then
just
Rachel Sterling. Rachel Sterling.
And then you have the twins storyline, which is really trying to drive that forward.
Yeah.
And also when then Eddie Marzin's character, when he passes away,
he plays the agent of Bill Nighy.
He plays Bill Nighy's agent, and then he's replaced by his sister, who's fucking awesome.
Just fantastic.
So
I love her so much.
Yeah. So there's some really strong female characters led in there. So to have some kind of. It's kind of undermined in some places by this.
Yes, exactly.
That kind of thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and I felt that they almost built in certain things about the husband's character, or the boyfriend, which would give her a good reason to leave. Like when she gets the job and she's really enjoying it, he's like, okay, I've got some success now. You can stop working and just come and live off me, kind of thing. And she sort of has to convince him that she'd like to carry on working.
Do you remember that scene between Buckley and Katrina where they're sitting they're in Devon and they're sitting kind of, on this stone wall next to the ocean, and she's talking about her name, and he asks her, what was your name before you got married? And she admits to him that the husband is the one who changed her name because she was called Catherine Pugh.
Yeah,
I believe Catherine Pugh was her original name, and now she has to be called like Katrina Cole. And
he immediately picks up on the fact that he's changed her name to be even more Welsh. Yeah, so she wasn't good enough as she was. The husband had to create something in her in order for him to want to be with her, which is just awful. And Buckley's so fucking cool, man. He's just like, and you're with this guy and he does this to you? And I'm like, yeah, Buckley, you tell her.
So you didn't say what you thought. So this is, before we go into that, and also another key point in this film from a feminine point of view, is that it's directed by Lone Scherfig, who directed An Education, female director from somewhere in Scandinavia. I meant to check that. So she's got some, I'm not sure if it's pedigree, but she's had a couple of good films behind her.
Yeah, and also, she also did one day as well.
Oh, she did. That was okay, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is okay. I mean, it's good. It's not amazing.
How's it ranked between An Education and One Day for you?
It's kind of about the same. I didn't think either of those two were particularly outstanding.
Okay.
Given the source material of One Day as well. And this was also based on a book, I believe.
And was it based on a true story or based?
Yeah, the
character
character's based on an actual person. I'm not sure how much of the story is. I mean, you've kind of said pretty much, Ruby. It's good. It's not amazing. Gemma Arterton is great in it. There's lots of good acting, but the stinkers of sort of expected plot turns and sort of it just gets a bit tiresome in the end. And I can't really remember the music, but I can imagine what it would have been. So it feels very much like a made-for-TV movie. I was quite surprised that it got like 4 out of 5 in The Guardian, which was really surprising. And it came out in 2016, so it's a fairly recent film, but I'd never even heard of it.
I heard about it, but I thought it was one of those films to me that I wasn't that fussed about going to see it in the cinema.
Well, there doesn't seem to have been much of a fanfare made about its coming out, which I find very odd because it has, as I say, a stellar cast. And they're all acting their socks off.
Jay Mines is in there as
people
well.
love films about war as well.
Yeah.
I wonder, it is interesting. I watched Dunkirk a few weeks later, and it was quite interesting to have that kind of context because Dunkirk doesn't have hardly any women in it. Necessarily, or not, depending on some people's points of view.
There was a couple of women in
there were a couple of nurses, I think you see sort of briefly dotted in and out. But it was quite nice because this was like the flip side. This was like very much about the female experience during the war. You know, all the men going away and having to deal with being left behind, taking on roles that normally would go to men or whatever. So I really enjoyed that. I as I say, I'm inclined to hyperbole. When I love things, I really love them. I mean, I'm not blind to the flaws of them, but I just felt there was so much good stuff in here that I was kind of very happy to enjoy this lovely dialogue and then those clunkers. But that him dying at the end really, really killed me.
I mean, she's had quite a hard time, and it was just like, give her a break.
Give her a bloody break.
Well, did you want her, if he was to have to pass away in the story, or was it just literally, can you not leave it to a few months
a few
afterwards?
hours.
Yeah.
give
I don't
them
think he
that.
had to die. It's like Ruby was saying to she made a very good point to me about it. You what were you saying about that?
Well, I just felt like if the motivation behind making a film like this with these themes is about feminism and being a strong woman, then why can't she find her own voice even if she has a partner? Wouldn't it have been more of a feminist principle, and it certainly would be for me, if she and Buckley wound up together and they have this really fantastic working relationship that's extremely egalitarian, and she finds her own voice? Why did they have to fucking kill him off in order for her to stand on her own 2 feet? It's like, no, fuck that. Like, I want to have a partner and have a career.
Yeah.
I think there's one key point of the film which I liked that's kind of led to by the fact that Buckley dies, and it's a point where old man, what's he called?
Bill Nighy?
Bill Nighy comes to her after Buckley dies. She goes and stays in some kind of random hostel place.
Yeah.
And she's hand washing her clothes, and Bill Nighy comes along and says, you know, there's a new film that we're going to make. We'd love you to be part of it. And she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then he has that speech about saying, you know, we've got to understand, I'm an old guy, you're a woman. We wouldn't be getting these roles if the young men weren't dying. We need to make the most of that. So I think he died so they could make this kind of statement. But do you think...
I don't think they needed to. I think
they
actually made that same statement a lot of times during the movie. Better.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
but you know, better, like with the lesbian character, I thought that was very bold.
Yeah.
Because she more or less says it. Like there's one point where she literally says, if I was of a certain inclination and a bit younger, then I'd go for the stereotypical male lead of the film that they're looking at. So I thought that was really cool as well. And
Well, I'm sorry, and the lesbian character also actually says to Mrs. Cole, now you watch, they're going to want us to go home again or give up,
put us back in our boxes.
Put us back in this, once the war is over, they're going to expect us to give up these jobs. And she says it in such a way that you know she's not going to give up hers. Yeah. And I just thought that was very, you know.
That was a better way of doing it. Yeah.
So there are some things at odds to it, because the fact you've got a female lesbian character in this story is something I've not seen before in a war film. So the fact that Gemma Arterton didn't feel that, her husband, played by Jack Houston, was pissed off that she was earning more than him in the first place, that kind of stuff really pisses me off. Because who cares who's earning more in the relationship? If you're both earning money, you're both in a better position. But
it was of the time, wasn't it?
It was of the time, but at the same time, I guess lesbians were also of the time, but had to keep well hidden.
Yeah.
It would have just been nice, I think, to have a different kind of take on that angle. But I guess I had to play out on the fact that this guy's a bit of a shit, so...
Yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing. I mean, he was a shit, so couldn't he have had an anvil fall on him?
That would have been better, wouldn't it? Yeah, while he was having his
doinking the
naughty
sex. That would have been
sex.
so much more satisfying.
I know. I think he gets off scot-free.
Hold on, does he not die in the worst thing
No.
ever? Did
He lives on.
He just goes.
He gets a lot of success with his stupid art. Ugly art.
Stupid ugly art.
I mean, shame. It wasn't. But yeah.
She does have a great line when she's leaving him.
Yeah.
He says something to her about, I shouldn't have painted you
walking away
from she said, no, you shouldn't have painted me so small. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one. There's a lot of stuff like that, you know, especially when I watched it a second time with Ruby. I really enjoyed those moments so much more because the pace of the film is quite fast. And I think the first time I kind of missed a lot of those juicy dialogue bits. So maybe you guys need to go and watch it again.
Well, that's going to play into the repeat viewing score, I think.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we go into the chat around the scores?
Let me see. I like the idea of the slop. There's a theme with the dog where he's talking about what does he say about?
Do we hire a dog
to say bark, to write bark, bark, you know, kind of thing. They hire a woman to write the woman's, you know, it's just that simple. It's kind of like, you can't expect a man to know what's going on in a woman's head, you know, kind of thing, or never mind writing it. But I loved that. I thought they did that really nicely. And the dog keeps turning up. Like the dog has to be in the film that they're making on the boat, and they make a big thing about that. I like the way Gemma Arterton's character, Katrina Cole, is fighting for her main characters who are women to be able to be proactive and have dynamism.
Agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agency.
Yeah, like let's put one of the sisters into the water to fix the propeller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she gets it in the end,
Yeah.
which is great.
She has to fight. She does have to fight for it, mainly because Bill Nighy's character wants to have bigger, more important bits to play.
Yeah.
But,
I also liked how the word slop started out as a pejorative.
Yeah.
And between Buckley and Katrina, by the end of the movie, it becomes kind of a term of endearment between them. You know, like, hey, you need to go right the slop. And, you know, I love it when something like that happens, the evolution of a relationship as represented by the word. It's so cool.
yeah. It was, just to say about the romantic storyline, I did really love how it developed up until that horrible, jolty ending part. But there were some beautiful moments. I think it's really good where she writes. They've kind of, what was the obstacle between them? Oh, he was
a real ass, wasn't he? When he says, "Marry me," you know, this guy.
That was not a convincing proposal, was it?
Yeah.
No. I mean, no woman wants to be spoken to in that manner. That's for sure. So he was a real jackass about it, but I felt like she was also quite harsh in the way that she reacted to him.
Yeah. And so they split apart for a while, and the way that she gets him back is to polish up the script, which he's being too depressed to kind of sort out because he's so in love with her and whatever. And which I liked. I like the fact that she's the one who sorts it out in the end. And she writes like a little fake page of script where she kind of rewrites their encounter. And I really like that idea because it would be fun to be able to do that in real life.
It was very creative, and it felt very true to the character, didn't it?
I think that's probably my favorite part of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could have ended it there at the kiss, and I would have been perfectly happy. But instead, he dies. And however, there was one other nice moment after that. I mean, the rest of the film I didn't feel was really necessary. But when she's sitting watching the film that she's created.
I was going to say that.
And it's like that evolution. And there's actually a bit of footage of her and Buckley in the same moment where that Ruby was talking about earlier, chatting about things, and she throws his fish and chips in the sea, and it's very sweet, like background bit. And you can just sense the emotion from her. And I thought Gemma Arterton did a great job of communicating
that part did make me cry.
Yeah.
I'm a real softie, so the tears were flowing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I think it's time to get into the scores. Sara Mae, you brought this to the table. Are you happy you did? Out of 5, how highly would you recommend Their Finest?
I'm going to die on this hill, okay? I love Their Finest. No, I really enjoyed it. It had so many things that ticked my boxes. So I'm going to say like 4 out of 5.
Okay, and you can go to decimal places, as many as you want.
Okay.
I was just going to ask that, actually.
You can.
Okay.
Great. I'm going to do that. I will be like 4.33.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
I'm exact.
You are taking a stand.
Ruby, out of 5, how highly would you
Out of 5, where 5 is the most amazing film in the world and 1 just really sucks ass.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it 3.33. So better than average, but just.
H.
I'm just going to give it a 3. I mean, it's there are some great things. I do like the story, but yeah, some kind of lazy directing, and it's a little bit flabby and a bit predictable. It's not, lets it down, I think, which is a shame.
Yeah. I'm going to give it because I think comparing to Made in Dagenham in terms of a period feminine story, I think it's not as good as that. So I think I'm going to give it 3.1 maybe.
I love these decimals. They're so much fun.
I think it does so many good things, but it just undermines.
Lets itself down
lets itself down, unfortunately. And it's quite long, isn't it?
117 minutes, it feels a lot longer than that. But
we'll get to that for me in the repeat viewing score, I think.
It's a bit flabby towards the end.
Yeah. So yeah, repeat viewing score. This is your second time watching Sara Mae. So what?
Yeah, I wonder if it is actually my third. No, I think it is the second. It might be the third time. So yeah, I guess so. That would be like 4.8 for me. It's also one of those films I feel like you can recommend to pretty much anybody.
Right.
I have a real problem with, as you can tell, I get really excited about stuff and then I hate it if I recommend something to people and they don't like it. Like my family is the worst for this. And so many times I've recommended a film but I feel like this is a safe film to recommend to pretty much anybody and feel more or less secure in the fact that they're not going to have any major problems with it.
Apart from maybe like teenage boys, I can't imagine they'd enjoy this much. Apart from the bombing and when he gets squashed, they'd probably go, yeah!
I think you see someone's boobs.
Oh, boobs,
So-
yeah. So they'd probably like
And ass.
3 moments in it.
There's ass in it. So
Whose ass did we see?
that
The girl
woman who was
is-
riding Mr.
yeah.
Cole.
Oh, the same woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice ass. On a scale of 1 to 5 ass score, I give her a 5.
Yeah, we should introduce a new scoring.
For what, nudity?
Yeah.
Nudity.
We don't
You
have-
totally should.
We don't have much nudity in our films.
No, we don't.
I think Under the Skin
Under
was
the Skin,
but we
yeah.
didn't even
That
talk
had
about
everything though.
Yeah.
I
So.
love Under the Skin. Oh my gosh.
it. So you say you gave it 4.8 for repeat viewing score then?
Yeah.
So what's the film you've seen the most and would, at the drop of a hat, watch any time it's on?
Other films.
Yeah.
Well, Groundhog's Day. I mean, it is kind of ironic, but that is one of the ones that's one of my old faithfuls that I can rewatch and rewatch.
Just any time, yeah. So you reckon it's quite high up there with Groundhog Day?
I mean, I don't know about that. You know, I think it's very different. It's a very different movie.
Sure.
I think Groundhog Day is more or less a perfect example of a rom-com. So I can't really. It's not perfect. Their finest. So I would say no. It's not in the same league. It's a bit further down.
So you want to stick with 4.88?
Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Kobi. I am on
Thank
to
you, Kobi. Thank you for leading her away from the lights, okay? Because seriously.
Okay, I'll say
4.88.
4. Because I'm there. I'm there for it. I'm sorry. I'm there for the.
Well, I mean, if you've seen it 3 times
Yeah.
before, and I assume you're going to watch it
And watch
again,
it more,
4
yeah.
is more than
I know you guys think I have
justified.
no discrimination whatsoever now. I've undermined any sense of judgment.
Your street cred
Let's stick with-
is
stick with-
wrecked, dude.
I apologize. Let's stick with the 4.88.
Yeah, we're not going to bully anyone to change their scores. What is this?
Wrong.
Ruby.
Wrong score.
I think what you meant to say was.
Secret agenda that Kobe's
like-
got.
He just doesn't want me to seem like a dummy.
You're not a dummy.
No, it's not. I wasn't into. I was just kind
Different
of thinking.
strokes for
it's like,
different folks.
Is this the film you're going to watch most ever? Even if you
I
really
mean, it
like
might be.
Yeah, truth. Ruby, out of 5, repeat viewing score.
Repeat viewing score.
And I guess we should describe it a bit in terms of how
Yeah.
often you've watched it now,
Okay.
and also in the future, how many times you're going to watch
So
it.
5 would be I want to watch it every day because it's so amazing.
Well, not necessarily. It's like the film you watch the most and you're happy to watch it.
Anytime.
That'll be like your 5 and can
Okay,
raise
and
that
1
as the bar.
is I'd rather my eyes start bleeding out of my head than see
Oh,
it
well,
again.
no, that'd be a 0. I mean, a 1
We've had
is
some zeros, yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
do you have zeros?
Yeah, you can do
have a
0.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. All right. Well, it's not a 0. I'd probably give it like
It's not an eye bleeder. Okay.
no.
I'd give it about a 1.75. And the reason that I'm choosing that is because I would watch it again. So, for instance, if I was hanging out with Sara Mae and we were at her house and she's like, I have a hankering for their finest, I'd be like, okay.
Won't you join me?
Won't you? Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't say no. I would watch it again, but I wouldn't specifically sit down and choose it for myself. And, so if it just happened to be on and there was nothing else to do, cool. But I'm not going to go searching for it.
Helen.
I'm going to give it a 1. I mean, if it happened to be on and that was all that was on, I would watch it. But there's so many other films that I'm going to watch instead of rewatching this.
I'm going to go for a 2. I think it's, again, a case of if it's on, happily have it on in the background, maybe just dial out when it gets a bit silly towards the end.
Yeah.
There are some really cool bits in it. 2. Yeah, let's go for a 2. Small screen score. Do you want to describe this, Helen?
So yeah, this is the slightly if you can kind of get your head around it, score. So small screen score. So how well suited is this to kind of Netflix or sort of watching at home? Because obviously we didn't watch it at the cinema. So if it's really suited to Netflix, then it's going to be a high score. If you thought like, oh, this really needs to be in a cinema and have that big screen experience, then a lower score. Did you see this at the cinema when it came out?
No,
so you've only ever seen it.
Yeah,
sort of
as
at
you
home.
say, I don't even know when it came. You know, I can't even remember.
It wasn't too far before Dunkirk, because I remember there's talk of.
They always
Dunkirk
come around.
story.
Yeah, they always come in twos, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's pretty well suited. There aren't any sort of big panoramic.
I quite like panographic.
I'm so sorry.
I was thinking
couldn't help you there.
pornographic.
I didn't know what you were trying
I was looking at Ruby thinking pornographic.
Help me!
Oh.
It's not pornographic. It's
I'm going to choose to
love
take
that.
that
Yeah.
as a compliment. I'm just choosing a compliment with that.
Because I could go.
with you. It's
Either
always
way.
a compliment.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, panoramic. There's nothing huge like that. In fact, I think it's much more about the dialogue, the sort of interpersonal relationship bits, as opposed to like beautiful scenery or whatever. And although the Blitz stuff is nicely done, I think in London, war-torn London comes across quite clearly. But yeah, I don't think you need to be in a cinema. It's nice on a small screen as well.
How does that come out as 1 to 5?
You guys have your work cut out for you, don't you?
The stars, honey.
score,
How many
please.
stars?
Will. I would say so 5 is the most small screeny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Small screeny. I
Yeah.
like that phraseology.
Okay, I
we
will
should
say
change
Screeny weeny scores he was.
3.75.
3.75. Ruby.
Comma.
What? You can't do that in numbers.
Suited to the small screen, I'll give it a 4.5. I don't think that this thing needed to be seen in the cinema at all. As Sarah already said, it was dialogue driven.
This thing?
Jeez. I feel like I have to counterbalance your
I
enthusiasm.
feel like one of those soldiers on the beach in Dunkirk, and I'm going to fight on this beach until. Is it too soon
I
for that
think
joke?
that your high scores are inflating the overall score, by the way.
But this is good though, because we have 4 people, so it should average out to
Yeah.
the rest of the world's population. We represent 7.1 billion
do.
people in this room.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's a big responsibility.
I can feel them.
They're breathing down my neck.
Helen,
I'm going to give it a 5. I'm surprised it's even intended to be made for the cinema because it just looks like a TV film. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it did come out around about the same time as Dunkirk, and obviously completely different films, but also the same film. Whereas I think this is more interesting, but obviously not as well shot in any kind of way.
yeah, Dunkirk, I saw it in IMAX. I probably wouldn't see it on the small screen. This, if I'd seen it in the small screen, on the big screen, I would have been like, oh, shucks.
Yeah, it is.
I love independent cinema where you don't even need to. I love seeing that in the cinema, but I don't think I missed out in any way, shape, or form.
It's quite a good one that Netflix have acquired because I never would have watched it. So thanks for bringing it to the table. But I mean, I've not exactly given it glowing reviews, but I think you should definitely check it out if you've got a vague interest in either feminism, Gemma Arterton, dogs, or war films.
Bill Nighy having an absolute blast. Yeah.
Yeah, he does
And
do.
is it Helen McCrory, her name? The other actress?
Yes. Yeah, it's
I
her.
love her. She was
Is she the one who plays the agent?
the agent.
She
She
takes
the
over
sister.
for the
The
right,
agent's sister,
right. Yeah. She becomes
Yeah,
the new
she's
agent.
wicked.
She is just
She
amazing.
just slaps him right down in the first meeting.
Absolutely.
And I thought that
Yeah,
was
she puts him in his
perfect.
place in
Perfect.
such a succinct, like such a subtle
Yeah.
way. It's really good.
Small screeny score.
Small screen score for me is 4.8. I don't think it's as bad as made for TV movies straight out of the bat, because there are some cool scenes, but I don't think I would have appreciated having seen it in cinema. And if based on you guys' comments on the sound, I probably would have hated it even more if the sound was overbearing in Dolby Atmos.
There was one nice bit with music-wise where they're in Devon, sort of in the hotel, all the acting crew, and the 2 girls who I believe are musicians. I might be wrong about that.
Oh, and they're singing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they sing
That was
a really
nice.
That
sweet
was really
song.
cool.
And Bill Nighy
And
sings.
Bill Nighy singing as well.
He's
Yeah.
got a excellent voice. I suppose we knew that from Love Actually, or does he sing deliberately badly in that one? I can't remember.
I don't know. He does
Sing
play a
talks.
rock star in it, but I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
beautiful voice, very rich.
Engagement score.
I was pretty engaged. I'm a bit weird when I watch films. Like, I hate people talking. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I don't like.
Why is that weird?
Yeah, but no one should talk
if
while you're watching
my
a film.
family don't give a damn that you have people walking in, standing in front of the screen, asking what's going on, who's that character, eating carrots. That's what my brother does.
I do the pause and stare.
Is that the same guy from the beginning?
Didn't they die?
I thought he was dead.
Have you been to one
Granny,
of
be
my...
quiet.
That's normally my brother loves to get carrots and eat them right next to my ear while I'm watching a film. So
I think
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that means you can do
I
things.
feel really
legally
sorry
to
for you
him.
now.
And that translates into the 4.2. Yeah. My
4.2.
considered opinion.
Okay.
Ruby.
I'm going to give this a 3.5.
All right.
Very middle of the road for me. I was engaged, but if my phone binged, I would look at my phone.
Helen.
I'm going to give it a 3. It felt a bit long, and I did quite a little bit of an IMDb journey history. And Jack Houston, the shit boyfriend, you've seen
What
him.
other films has he been in?
Well, he's been in Pride and Prejudice
Pride
with
versus
zombies.
Yeah, which we reviewed recently.
Yeah, so that's
Yes, I listened to that one.
I've
It was
not
really
seen that
good.
one.
And also
Boardwalk
he was in
Empire as well.
Boardwalk Empire,
Yeah,
Yeah, he was fantastic in Boardwalk
Yeah.
Empire. I mean, what a great character.
And yeah, but I had to make like dinner halfway through it, and was kind of making dinner was the priority. So yeah, that's not didn't have 100% engagement.
What did you have for dinner, though? Was
Well,
it something that
it wasn't
you...
well, it wasn't my dinner. We had a communal work lunch the next day where you make something the night before and bring it in.
Gotcha.
So I was making
potluck.
Mexican rice and beans. So I could kind of like stir some stuff and then walk around. And I kept watching it with my boyfriend, and I was like,
lumpy
what
rice.
just happened? What just happened? And he was like, oh, I don't know. I stopped watching it an hour ago. I was like, oh, something must have happened. He's like, I don't think so. Just talking.
So
yeah.
your score has equaled exactly 3. You're 3 out of 5 for the overall score for you. I'm going to go for engagement score.
That's
I think,
generally how I feel completely about this film.
sure. I'm going to go for 2.5. Really
Oh, lower than me.
lower than you.
Surprise.
I think it was just I watched it over the Easter weekend. It's one of those kind of lazy films to kind of watch. So I think I was predisposed to not really paying attention to the film.
You'd
So-
gone into a chocolate coma.
Yeah, a bit of chocolate coma. Not eating much sugar at the moment. So I had my big Whisper chocolate with the 2 Whisper bars, and I pretty much ate them, put them in my face whilst watching this film as well. So
Slipped in and out of consciousness.
yeah, exactly. Well, so 2.5.
Geez, Sarah, your family's a lot healthier with the carrots.
Actually, it's true.
It's like, what kind of food do you want someone chomping in your face? Carrots or...
But I think he picked
chocolate.
it. I think he hates carrots, but he was doing it on purpose because he knew it would bother
It
me.
does have a very high crunch factor.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
No, he picked it for
On a
its
scale of 1
crunchability.
to 5, carrots have a 5 crunch factor.
You can just see now that there's going to be signs outside the cinema with like a no carrot through it. No carrots allowed
No
in here.
carrots allowed. Fuck you, carrots.
So it'll get an overall score of 3.41, which is
That's pretty high.
decent.
Yeah, I think
that's about right.
you
Glad I
definitely
did my
gave it
bit.
quite a big
people
score and
need
pumped it
it.
up. Yeah.
You know, you fought bravely.
I did not leave a man behind or a woman.
Or a
You had
dog.
4.29 overall for yourself there, Sara Mae. So yeah.
It's a pretty high score.
So we did a shout out on Twitter asking people to. We said we're reviewing Their Finest. Have you seen it? We'd love to hear your thoughts and include them on our podcast Flixwatcher. Give us a 5-star rating, a short review, and retweets. We had a few retweets, but I guess it seems like not many people knew this film existed. We've only had 1 review and 1 comment.
Gemma Arterton.
So the comment is from What Were They Thinking podcast, who said, I've never seen it, but Gemma Arterton is a beautiful creature, Mamma Mia. Don't think that really helps.
Not really.
Not at all.
A little bit like.
Are they reviewing Mamma Mia or talking about?
Sara Mae, do you want to read out the review from Claire O'Donoghue?
Sure. She says 3 stars, an inoffensive movie with charming characters and good acting, but a script filled with cliches. I disagree with that. The sort of movie you can watch while checking emails and not miss a thing.
Says Claire Donahue. Well, you were cooking.
She nailed it.
Yeah,
You're
I think
cooking.
definitely.
Really, that was a
guys are
very
nuts.
succinct way of summing up everything we just
got
discussed
a bit of
here.
life
You
admin
guys
to
have
do,
just
but also
spent-
want to watch a film. The Finest is
There
for
you
you.
go.
You guys have just
This
spent
film's for
45
you.
minutes. You guys just
Strongly
spent 45 minutes, and Claire Donahue has done it in less than 280 characters.
That's pretty much me in a nutshell. Just I take 45 minutes to say what everybody else can say in a tweet.
That's what. That's what Stephen Fry does. You know, he likes big long words and sentences. Him and Russell Brand.
Well, we should talk about him later on. You can cut that.
Naughty.
Okay, so guys,
Yep. Remind us where we can find you online and your podcast, please.
So my podcast company is called Fable Gazers, and you can go to fablegazers.wordpress.com or fablegazers.libsyn.com, and you can find all the information. Season 1 is the Sugar Baby Confessionals. If you put the Sugar Baby Confessionals into Google, you'll find us. We're on all the podcast platforms out there. If I've missed one, tell me, and I'll put it on there.
are you on Google Play?
We're on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, all of the good places. And if you want to hear more, well, not so much me, but Ruby is a really fascinating, beautiful creature. And
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia. You can't tell that through the podcast, unfortunately. We paint a picture with words. But it's I've worked on it for the past 3 years. I put a lot of work into it, and I'm hoping that it's as engaging as something like Serial without having to murder somebody.
That's what you're hoping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad you're hoping that. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's
Yeah.
been awesome to be here.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find all of the episodes on our website, flixwatcher.tv. Want to give us your 5-star review? Follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter. Big shout out to our editor, Brendan Russell, for all his awesome editing skills. And thanks as always to the mighty people for their tunes.